Um, this morning we're going to talk about sacrificial life, and that's what we are to live for Christ. And my purpose this morning is not to put guilt or anything on everybody, but to make you appreciate one another, and especially what God's done for us and the sacrifices that was made. To me, there is no greater love than the one that's shared between parents and children. And that's what we are. We're God's children. And we know the love that He showed for us. And as I'm going through this morning's sermon, think about the sacrifices and the love between you and your parents, between you and your children, between you and your spouse and things like this. And maybe if I talk right this morning, you'll see them in a little different light and love them a little more. Let me open us in prayer and we'll get going this morning. Lord, I thank you for this morning. I thank you for bringing me into your house, Lord. And I thank you for this opportunity that you've given me to serve you, Lord. I just ask that you be in here with us this morning, Lord, and you give me guidance to say what you'd have me to say, that we may be a little wiser in you, Lord. And again, just thank you for this opportunity. These things in my Lord Jesus Christ's name I pray. Amen. Everything in your personal relationship with God, love should be the center of it. Everything, I was talking about this in Sunday school this morning, it's what God is. God's love. And when you're not doing something out of love, you're doing it for another reason, and it's the wrong reason. We talked about a little bit this morning in school, when you're not doing it for the reason, it's because there's some type of self-profit in it for you. Not necessarily money, but maybe like I was talking about this morning, a little higher status or something where you want the attention focused on you. But your service to God should be rooted in love. Like again, everything you do should be done out of the love that we have for God, the love that we have for our children, our family, for our brothers and sisters, for our community. It all should be based and centered on love. When I was talking about this self-profit, it shouldn't be done to bring attention to yourself or even to your church. Everything should be turned over and given to God's glory. Because with if He hadn't done what He had done for us, there would be no service. I was talking about the Pharisees this morning. That's kind of like the Pharisees did. They wanted attention for everything they were doing, that they, to bring themselves glory and not give it to Christ. Philippians 2, 3, and 4. Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in a lowliness of mind let each esteem other better than themselves. Look not every man on his own things, but every man also to the things of others. Other words, putting people ahead of yourself. That's self-sacrifice. That's living a sacrificial life. Doing something for God, like I said, you shouldn't profit from it. A sacrifice is giving up something of value or of high value for the sake of a better or higher cause, is the definition of sacrifice. Is that what Christ done for us? When He went and died on the cross, He paid a higher price for a greater good. One for many. I just mentioned a little while ago about parents and children. Look at the sacrifices. And you know when a parent loves you. It's evidence. Especially when you get older and you have children of your own, you realize the sacrifices that had to be made. Money. But let's not even say money. How about all the late nights that Mama stayed up with you while you were sick? putting a cold wash rag on your head, giving you the Tylenol, the worry. Husband and wives, working, supporting each other, lifting each other up, and so on. But like I said, just simply putting somebody ahead of yourself, thinking of them before you think of yourself. Like I said, we know the sacrifices made for us. Everybody knows of John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that so whoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. He gave his life so we may live. And this brings to mind, just real quick, before I chase a rabbit, there's so many people with that verse on a shirt. I've come in contact with a lot of inmates and stuff like that, that has that tattooed on them. I pray that they truly, truly understand what that means. And I really believe if they did, they wouldn't be acting the way they do. God made the ultimate sacrifice to provide us a way back to him. And it allows us to have a relationship. And that's an important thing too, the self-sacrifice. John 15:13. Greater love hath no man than this, that the man lay down his own life for his friends. Going back to parents. How many of y'all wouldn't lay down and die for your child now? Again, just going back, pointing to what the Father done for us. I know, if I had the choice, to make between my life or any of y'all's lives, it's easily done, just to do that to keep somebody else from suffering. All of our lives are different. Each one of us we're our own unique individuals. So is your walk with Christ. It's your unique thing. But with Christ's sacrifice comes in different forms for each of us. If you are giving up something that is not of a true value to you, then you're really not making a sacrifice. And I'm going to use this. You got a millionaire. What's $1 million to, or $100 to a millionaire, compared to somebody that's struggling in life? Who's making a greater sacrifice? The rich person giving $100 or the poor person giving $100? The things that come to my mind when physically most people think of sacrifice is time and money. Like I said, those are the two things that comes most often. And like I said, if you have a lot of one or the other, and you're giving it up, you're not making a really much of a sacrifice. But again, on the other side, like me, time is more valuable than money. Those of us that work and then trying to shuffle other things in to fit and whatever, time is valuable to me. So for me to give time is to make a sacrifice. And I'm saying these things like this is to maybe make you aware of what other people is doing around you. You may only see somebody giving an hour or two of their time. And we'll just go towards the church. And I've caught myself saying this or doing this, you don't hardly ever see them. Just, they're just here or there for an hour or two. Well, it made me come to realize, I don't realize how big of a sacrifice they may or may not be making. It's not my place. It's between them and God. Same way with money. Somebody putting $5 in the collection plate. It's not my place. Again, it's between them and God. I don't know how big of it might be a great sacrifice for them. They may be giving up a lot. Just make an instance, like I said, I grew up pretty poor. And I can remember Dad going to work one day, and he gave Mama $5 to buy groceries. And this was one of them spells where we took weeks of eating pinto beans. And my little brother, I love him, but he was bad about throwing stuff in the garbage or the toilet. If it wasn't in the trash can, he was trying to flush it. Well, somehow or another, he got a hold of that $5. And Mama got ready to go to the store to buy some flour and some beans and whatever it was to last us a whole week. And wow, man, $5 to last the week. But that money come up missing. And I was probably maybe 10, 11 years old. I can remember how upset she was. I mean, just crying, because it's all we had. And tore the house apart. And, of course, first thing she thinks was, well, it's in the toilet. So she goes in there and looks, and he's done, flushed about half a dozen Matchbox cars or something. I don't remember. But we found the money in the garbage. But I can show you how important $5 can be. I'm bad about losing my place when I get off on little side stories. But anyways, y'all see the point I'm trying to make about looking at a sacrifice and appreciating something. And again, like I was talking about, just think about your brothers and sisters in here this morning. The ones that's here that's cleaning up on giving their time to clean, or giving their time for vacation Bible school or whatever. Just appreciate it. That's all I'm asking. With this in mind, it come to, and having to do these lessons and stuff like I've been having help with, brings Wesley to mind. He works, mainly at night, and Nina works at day. And me personally, I try to find as much time as I can with me and Maggie. Sunday's the only day that we have off together. And between here and whatever, we have a couple hours in the middle of Sunday. If we don't come Sunday evening, that's all the time we have together. Because she works, I work through the week. I have to work Saturdays. She's off on Saturday. And between gym and supper and it's bath and it's bedtime. The days just really seem to. But I got thinking about Wesley. Him and Nina are just kind of pass each other through the door. How valuable is his time and her time together? Made me look at what he does here and realizing that the time that it takes to do one of these lessons, and he does it every Sunday. 2 of them, really, because he does Sunday school and then he does a sermon. And then ministering at other times, he gets phone calls and stuff. It made me look at him in a little bit different light. Appreciated him a little more. And I was telling Brother Joey this morning I'm going to kiss him on top of his bald head when I get to see him, because I come to see him in a little different light. And that's what I'm wanting to point y'all to too, is just seeing brothers and sisters in a little bit of a little bit different light. Because sometimes we don't really realize how much is given. And going back between husband and wives, having a husband that works every day and comes home and is always provided. Having a wife that's, even a housewife that's sitting home cooking, cleaning, washing. It's a lot of work. My mama was a housewife, and I think she put in longer hours than Daddy did, to be honest with you, because she was washing clothes at 7 o'clock in the morning and up till 7, 8 o'clock at night, supper and doing dishes. When you start looking at things like that, you realize how much love is that. For just going back to my mama being a housewife, working 12, 15 hours a day. It's a lot. It really is. But it also, because, see, I have no doubt that my mama loves me. And when you get older, you learn to love them for what they've done for you as well. You see the sacrifices that was made. Yeah, some of this stuff on my little paper right here, I just blowed it all out of the water, y'all. I just jumped all around it, but I think the lesson that I'm wanting is coming through. With things like this, and I'm guilty of this, and me and my wife, of course, we're close and we share a lot of stuff, and I'm sure most people that serve feels this a little bit. Sometimes it can be a little overwhelming or, aggravating. And I'm going to tell y'all this story, not to boast, to build myself up, but you're more aware of your personal situations. Friday is Mother's Day off, and I get up with her. I see her off to work, make my breakfast. Well, I have this old car that y'all know that I've been working on for quite a while. And Friday's the day that I get to tinker with that. And, I had 2 lessons. I had my Sunday school lesson, and then I had this sermon to work on. And so when she's gone, at 7:30, I said, okay, the Sunday sermon is more important. I need to give it priority. So I started working on it and with the direction that God wanted me to go with it. It started out as of a journey type thing in our walk with God. Well, through a situation that me and Maggie's in and we're dealing with, I had an idea, but I had no direction. And this will kind of show you how sometimes God can work in your life or speak to you by doing this. I was telling my Sunday school class this morning, if you really want to grow and learn something, do a Sunday school lesson or a sermon or some type of study. With the little over a year that I've been doing this, there's been so many times where I've been having issues in my life, and God has spoke through me or to me and helped me with these situations through these lessons. Well, anyway, so me and her's having one of those all-night discussions where, it ain't going any direction. And after we both give up, I'm laying there in bed, and it comes to me. And it caused me to look at her in a little different light, too. And the sacrifices that's being made for you. And she does them for me because she loves me, and I do them for her because I love her. But anyways, going back to the car thing, I have found myself saying sometimes, well, why am I doing this? I don't have any time for me. Between this and other things of life, I had about an hour and a half of my day left. And it gets discouraging sometimes because, when I was talking about in Sunday school this morning, we have a tendency to make things about ourselves. Well, standing here right now, I'm learning that, being self-sacrificed, I'm giving up my time to make everybody else's life a little better. And standing here and coming to the realization of this, it's bringing me peace. Because, I'm understanding what it is to make a small sacrifice for the greater good. See? And it goes with everybody. Same way with the choir giving up an hour and a half of their Sunday to sing, to bring y'all's God word through song. See, that's a sacrifice that they're making. And, it should be appreciated. I've mentioned husbands and wives and thinking of sacrifices that y'all made with each other. Ephesians 5:25, it says, husbands, love your wives even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. Sometimes it's easy to put yourself ahead of your wife, I guess, or your spouse, I should say, because we get focused on what we want and don't realize, 1 John 4:7, Beloved, let us love one another, for love is of God, and everyone that loveth is born of God and knoweth God. Love should be the center of your sacrifice. The choir does it. Well, they most of us like to sing. I enjoy singing, and I'm sure glad that I'm in the choir because my individual voice blends well with the rest of the choir. But if y'all had to hear me sing by myself, it wouldn't be a good thing. And I encourage people to join the choir. Even if you feel like you can't sing, you will be surprised at what your voice lends together. Giving Joey a plug there. But it should be, because if love's not at the center of it, then it's going to be something else that it doesn't need to be. When you make a sacrifice out of love, you don't expect anything back out of it. If you're doing something to get something in return, then it turns into something else. It's not a sacrifice at that point. You're being paid for something. Christ asked for so little in return when He gave His life. And the commandments and things we were told are just so simple. To love one another. And just to go spread the good news, to spread the gospel. And just every aspect of it is just to simply to make your life a little better. Me, I like to pick on religion in general. I love picking on Jehovah's Witnesses. When you're not doing it out of something, you're being, like I said, if you're not doing it out of love, you're doing it to get something in return, and therefore there's the payment. Kind of think of the Mosaic laws and the sacrificial system. Animal sacrifices were required to cover or to pay for a sin. There was no love involved in that. It was just simply work. And there was profit being made off of these sacrifices. I mean, you had people that raised the animals, and you had money changers, and all the people there was gaining profit off of this sacrificial system. And they were doing it to cover or to pay for their sins in a sense. When like I said, when love is no longer involved in it, it's just work. Some doctrines, they require a service for, again, like this higher prestige, or they tell you that in order to be saved, you've got to go out and apologize or make amends to all the people that you possibly can that you've done wrong to. Well, if you think about it, it's just work. You're having to go and labor to pay for something. That's not the case. I have a few verses that's talking about, sacrifices being made out of love. Uh, 1 Corinthians 13:7. Beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. Charity, this is 13:4. Charity suffereth long and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up. And all things have, and this is is it Philippians? 1 Peter, I'm sorry. And above all things have frequent charity among themselves, for charity shall cover the multitudes of sins. Another word for charity is love. I think it's the English Standard Versions and like the New Living Translations and some of the other translations. They take the word charity and substitute the word love. And I'm pretty big on using the King James Bible as my basis. I have the other standards or the other translations and stuff, but there's certain things you can get in trouble with kind of messing with the Bible in a sense. And I'll just give a quick example of this. A lot of, going back to Jehovah's Witnesses, they have took and made a translation to fit their doctrine. And it's not right. You're messing with God's Word when you do that. Just see, when they go to your house and study and they tell you these things, and then they open their Bible, the Bible almost fits to what they're telling you. You understand what I'm saying? They designed it that way on purpose. See, they want you to follow their doctrine and not what God's telling you. It's kind of like when you have a copy made of your key, and then you have a copy made of that copy, and you do that one or two times, that key loses its integrity and won't no longer unlock them doors. And it's the same way with the Bible. So I use the King James as my original key, and then I'll use the other copies of that, but always base it off of that one. And that's where I was getting back with the charity and being things that are centered in love. And the whole focus of this is when you're making these sacrifices, do it out of love for one another. Do it because you love your wife. Do it because you love your husband. Do it because you love your children. And if you really love them, you're not going to expect them to do anything back. My wife gets up and cooks me breakfast in the morning. She doesn't expect anything else. But you can pay little respects by saying thank you. I love you for it. And it goes a long ways. It really does. In the same way with our Heavenly Father, we thank Him by going out and serving and letting people see Him through us and spreading the word. And honestly, if you're out serving God, you shouldn't. If you're doing it because you love Him and you're doing it for the right reasons, you really don't expect anything in return for it. And when you truly have that in your heart and you don't expect anything in return, that's when you find and see your blessings in that situation. Because when you're doing it for the right reasons, He's going to bless you. I mean, He may, and don't expect the blessings and to be into material things, because this is a spiritual thing, y'all. It's a spiritual walk, and that's where your blessings is going to be. It's going to be spiritually. He's going to strengthen you and bless you spiritually, and in that, everything else is going to grow. Your patience is going to grow. Your love is going to grow. You're going to have more peace. You're going to have more joy, and it's all just simply doing everything out of love. Amen. And that's it. I hope I haven't confused anybody. If anybody wants to understand this a little better, or to even start this spiritual journey, or the peace, as Brother Glenn was talking about, if you want to know God, come see us. And your blessings will start that moment that you utter those words right out of your mouth. I can guarantee it. I can tell you that firsthand. And if you look for God, you're definitely going to find Him.